get educated, because that was what did it for me. I have to know. I want to know how things work. I want to know where it came from. I got to know it all before I do something. I would tell myself to get educated and then form my opinion based on facts, not the war on drugs. I wish I had looked into it sooner, honestly, just because I would have had even more fun.
Welcome to the Well with Cannabis podcast, a show dedicated to telling the life-changing stories of those who live well with cannabis, all while teaching you how to do the same. Meet your host, Emily Kyle, a registered dietitian nutritionist turned certified holistic cannabis practitioner. Emily changed her life for the better with the help of the cannabis plant, and now she is committed to helping others do the same. Tune in each week to hear heartwarming stories and gain the knowledge you need to feel connected, inspired, and supported on your own cannabis journey. Whether you're a new cannabis consumer or a lifetime lover, you'll benefit from these uplifting tales of real-life journeys that will show you how you too can live your best life well with cannabis.
Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to share a note on potentially sensitive content. The episodes on the Well with Cannabis podcast are created for adult audiences only. We will at times cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to suicide, abuse, mental illness, sex, drugs, alcohol, psychedelics, and the obvious use of plant medicine. Explicit language may be used occasionally. Please refrain from watching or listening to the show if you're likely to be offended or adversely impacted by any of these topics. The information on this show is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. If any of the content on this podcast has brought up anything for you, please reach out or speak to a professional or someone you trust. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Well with Cannabis podcast. And I am so excited to be here with our friend, Christine Claypoole. And she grew up not liking cannabis at all, but she has a magical story how her mind has been changed. And she's here to share that with you today. And I'm super excited, Christine. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's exciting.
So you have a really interesting story because you said that you were very anti-cannabis. And so I'd love to explore that a little bit with you if you feel comfortable and kind of how you made that transition to where you are today.
Yeah. And I've thought a lot of recently, why was I so against it? Because growing up, I just wasn't ever around it, for starters. I don't remember my family like saying it was horrible, but there wasn't alcohol in the house. There wasn't marijuana anywhere, I assumed we were not supposed to do that. And then the war on drugs started like the month before I was born. So then going all through school, they're just telling us how, it's a drug and it's going to ruin your brain. And so I just thought, it was horrible. And also the friends I hung out with, my girlfriends, it just wasn't, they weren't doing it a lot or anything. Yeah. So, I never thought I would do it. And honestly, I judged, looking back, I just said to my husband, I feel so bad for like the people I judged because I thought, oh, they're a pothead, because I didn't know about it. And I was okay with alcohol because it was socially acceptable, I guess, more. So anyway, moving forward then, when I met my husband, he told me right off the bat that, he sometimes smoked weed. And after our first date, I went back home to my mom and she's like, well, how'd it go? And I said, oh, it was really good. He was really nice, but I'm not going to go out with him again.
Wow.
I know. And she's like, what do you mean? Why if he's nice? And I said, well, I just don't think it's the kind of person he told me that he smokes weed some. And she said, and my mom never like drank, smoked anything. And she was just the most kind person. And she says, well, that doesn't make him a bad person. Why wouldn't you go on another date with him? You can't just judge him for that. And I was just like, oh, it's like, I thought she would say, oh yeah, you shouldn't go out with him again. But not at all. She just said, well, that doesn't mean he's bad. I don't think that should end it. So anyway, for years after that, I didn't want to know.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Right. And we have a small camp in the mountains over in Pennsylvania, and him and his buddies, we would all go up there and they would literally have to like walk away from the campfire so that I didn't see.
Oh,
because but I didn't like harp on him about it. I just,
right. He was respectful.
right. And so that's how it went for a lot of years. I'm a dental hygienist, and I did dental hygiene for over 25 years. But I did 10 years full time. And by the end of that 10 years, I was just in tons of pain, ended up on pain meds. So I didn't ever take more pain meds than were prescribed, but I was taking them at 10 o'clock and I knew when I could take another one.
Yeah.
And that started to really scare me when I realized that clearly I was dependent on them, even though I wasn't taking more than prescribed. And so I weaned myself eventually, after years, honestly, of those. I weaned myself off of those just because I felt like I was doing so much damage to my body, and it wasn't really even helping my pain.
See, that's interesting because
it was a little bit.
Yeah, but not completely.
Well, and after 4 hours, actually, probably after 2 hours, I was in pain again. And then I was counting down that next 2 hours until I could take something.
Yeah.
And I just hated that. And so I decided, I was going to take myself off of them. And I did that. And then I was just in pain for several years.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Well, I survived, but I took a lot of Aleve and other stuff that was probably damaging. And so anyway, I lived with it. But in the meantime, I take a lot of supplements. I try to do anything natural that I can. They tease me because we all have our own like vitamin things, and we all have different stuff in them depending on what we need or what time of the year it is. So they think I go a little overboard anyway, and I might. But so during all this research, more and more stuff about cannabis is popping up. And I'm thinking, well, it is natural, and I was okay I was all right with Vicodin,
Yeah.
So I kept like thinking about it, but I still felt like I was bad. If I have kids and I shouldn't do that. I'm a mom.
Yep.
That's not, my mom wouldn't have done that.
Yep.
And so then finally one of my cousins who I really respect, and she's a successful business person, and we were all at a Steelers game, and she says, do you want to try she said, do you want to try my vape pen? And I had pain, my neck was hurting, whatever, because we'd been walking all over and doing stuff. And I took like one hit off of that vape pen. Yeah. And I was just like, I remember looking at all of them like, what's happening? Because it wasn't the high feeling so much as I felt like the pain melt away, literally. And I felt like I was going to cry because, when you spend that many years
in pain,
and I was just like in shock because it wasn't at all what I expected. You know what I mean? Yeah. I had tried, and when I say I was totally against weed, I should back up because I did a couple of times get talked into it. I think I tried it like once in high school and once in college. And that's when I decided
it's not for me.
No, but from those two experiences, all I remember was feeling tired.
Oh yeah.
And
hungry.
It was probably not real great marijuana,
right?
I'm sure. But I don't remember, I didn't have pain at that time. So that wasn't something that jumped out at me. Right. I just remember thinking this is not good,
Yeah.
But so after I tried that pen, I was like, okay, I need to do more of this because this is the best I've felt in years, And
I bet like the game was enjoyable after that. Like you probably had the greatest time.
I did. We had a lot of fun. And I just remember thinking, why have I not looked into this, So I went and got my card then because I felt
such
better.
A great safety net. Yes. It makes it feel so much more safe and legitimate and justified.
So that's how I got to where I'm at,
So what did your husband say? Was he surprised? Was he excited for you?
His buddies were really shocked.
Really?
Yeah, like right away, the one guy's like, I literally, if you had said she'd be the first, I was the first person that they knew that got their card, medical card.
Yeah.
And he says, I like, she's the last person that ever, And he's like, I would have bet $1 million that she would never do this. And so it was funny. They were all shocked. And at first, like, I don't even think they believed him. So they teased
That
me
is great. Oh my gosh.
because they had to hide from me for so long, like when we would all be
Yes.
somewhere,
It's
So
nice now. I mean, you can all enjoy it together now. It's like it's not only pain relief, but it's also a social thing too when you're out about doing things. So I'm sure it just makes
mhm.
it easier for everybody in general.
Oh yeah. My husband's, he's not a big drinker, and it makes, it's a lot more fun. I'm not a big drinker either, but I mean, like he could have none.
Yeah.
But it does make it a lot more fun to go out somewhere. And obviously the hangover aspect is,
Yes.
that's why I try to tell people who've never done it or, have not really tried it lately. Like you could go out and feel totally fine the next day.
Yeah.
And I don't think they get it. I'm like, why wouldn't you want to do that?
So now are you sharing your cannabis journey with others and telling people how much better you're feeling? How is that going?
Um, I know this is well, and this is definitely the first time I've ever talked to anybody ever
Oh,
like
I'm so
this.
proud of you.
Um,
That's
yeah,
amazing. That takes a lot of bravery. So let me just give you that because when you grow up thinking that it's bad, 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 it's so hard to just come out and say, well, I'm doing it anyway. So I give you
right.
so much credit. Thank you for doing this with me.
Well, yeah, and it was a little bit of a debate. And then, when they said, or
Yeah.
when you said, will you be on video or use your real name? And we talked about it, and I said, well, why would I do it if I'm not gonna? For me, I just felt like I shouldn't be doing the podcast if I wasn't able to
Oh,
tell my story and say who I was. And where we live, very small town. I think like the village has 1,500 people at most, and then scattered around is,
yeah.
the township, and very small. So everyone knows each other. I have literally hundreds of relatives in Andover
Yeah.
where I live. And so that was a big, like, the only reason I'm comfortable with it now, I think, is because I found out my kids knew. I didn't think they knew. They've
Oh,
known.
can we talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit?
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
I thought I was really slick too, but I'm not. So I just know so many people, and I help at the school a lot. I'm up there whenever they need something.
Yeah.
We have a small business locally. We're a custom cabinet shop. So, we have clients, and so there was a lot for me to think about.
Yes.
Is that something that I want to put
Absolutely.
out there? But again, I got my card,
Mm-hmm.
so I am legal, and I haven't felt physically as good since I started. I mean, it probably in 15 or 20 years,
I mean,
so
that
I
is
feel like, why wouldn't I tell
incredible.
people?
And I'm so
Right.
glad that you're doing it because my whole goal is that someone's going to listen to this on the other end and say, I see myself in Christine before. And if she can find cannabis and find such relief, because nobody wants to live in pain. So if someone can hear your wise words and say, wow, if Christine can do it, I can do it too. Like that makes it all worth it. So thank you so much for sharing with
Yeah.
us.
Well, I feel like there are a lot of people that still let the stigma.
And I mean, rightfully so. If you spend your whole life being told something,
Right.
you're going to believe it. And so I don't ever
Right.
want anyone to feel bad that they were ever not pro cannabis because it's just like being told that soda's bad for us. Like if you're
They just
told
aren't
that
educated.
right. Yes. And once you all you need is like just a little piece of an open mind and just take your time. You don't have to jump in head first if you don't want to, but I mean, even
Right.
just listening to this and listening to your story, at the end of the day, it's about feeling better. That's all it's about is improved quality of life.
My husband and I were just talking about that, and I said, even if someone only used it at night, because my sleep is so much better than it was.
See, That's
I didn't
huge.
ever have a terrible time sleeping, but I feel like I get more quality sleep.
Yeah.
Even
Yep.
if it is not as long as I might like,
Yeah.
it's good quality. And I think that's a lot of why I feel better, whether I use cannabis the next day or not. I still feel better from using it at night because
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because it's still in your system or more
Right.
likely just that I slept so well, I'm rested. And, so it does affect the next day for me a lot, even if I only use it at
Absolutely.
bedtime.
And I feel
So,
like it really can affect your whole like wellness in the sense of you sleep better. And then when you sleep better and you're not in pain, you're more active and more energetic. You're more likely to
exactly.
eat better. You have the energy and the, fortitude to be able to go out and go to the farmer's market or make yourself a meal. And I feel like it all just snowballs into this really ultimately like healthy lifestyle for a lot of people
Right.
that people misjudge, but it's happening everywhere to everyone. Do you agree?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that it's just people are being educated.
Yeah.
And thankfully, and that's what happened with me. I just wasn't educated. And the more research, like I go down a rabbit hole once I start on something. So as soon as I tried her vape pen, I'm like diving, like, what are the
Everything.
dangers? What are the, and I have to go to a doctor because I'm scared to get it anywhere else, because just that's how I think that was from being raised that way. I felt like if a doctor told me it was okay, I would, I felt better. But I also, I didn't add, I used to smoke. This is something I want to throw out there because I keep hearing people still that aren't quite educated enough talking about how addictive marijuana is.
Yeah.
But I was apparently, I was addicted to the pain meds. I'm convinced. I mean, I was at least dependent. I was at least dependent physically on them in some way. But the cigarettes, I was definitely addicted to. I mean, quitting smoking was the hardest thing I ever did, I think.
I smoked for 5 years in my 20s, and thank God I got pregnant and it made it easier to quit because I don't know if I ever would have been able to do it by myself. It's very hard.
Yeah, I quit when I got pregnant the first time and then didn't start again until my second son was 2. And why, and then it was full bore again, just, smoking quite a bit. And so I know what it's like to have to go without something that you're truly addicted to.
Yeah.
Both the pain meds and the cigarettes. So when people say that to me, I say, I now know, because if you told me I couldn't have any weed for this week, I'd say, well, that stinks.
Right. You'd be sad, of course, because you don't want to be in pain.
I'd say, okay, I'd survive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be, and honestly, I don't even think I would be like, tense or I would just wish I could have it, but okay. But if you had told me that I couldn't have a cigarette for a day or even probably a few hours, I was a mess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm so glad you said that. It's a perfect way to, because people really are afraid that it is addicting. Mm-hmm. And I find that your experience is so much like my experience where I'll be sad without it, but like, I'm not going to go crazy.
Right. Right.
And that's, we choose not to go without it because we'd prefer to feel better. But for anyone who's listening who is afraid of it being addicted, I have never met anybody who displayed any type of behavior like being addicted to alcohol or cigarettes at all.
Well, and the evidence is there. I mean, it's there, and I mean, you could become dependent, I guess, on anything,
food,
drinks,
I mean,
but I feel like, more people need to know. I also recently said that, sorry,
no, you're fine.
That if your doctor gave you a supplement or and they said, this is all natural, it's going to help you. And they listed the things that marijuana could do for you, which is
yes,
it's this long, your pain, your anxiety, all of them. And, but there's a couple side effects. I mean, because of every medicine, there's a side effect, but the side effect is you might have euphoria. You might feel good.
Yes. Yeah.
Music is going to sound better. You're going to enjoy music more. You're going to enjoy shows more. But those are the side effects. I mean,
It's crazy.
why wouldn't you take it?
Absolutely. Especially with your experience with pain pills. I mean, having no side effects or minimal. There can be some side effects with cannabis, I guess, for anyone listening. I mean, dry mouth, heart racing, too much THC, panic attack, anxiety. So I'll just throw that out as a disclaimer. But if you educate yourself and you know what you're doing, you actually won't even get yourself into that situation in the first place, which is perfect.
I've made some mistakes with dosing.
We all have. It is a natural part of the learning process.
Yeah. So I experiment with that when I know I don't have to go anywhere at all that day.
Exactly.
And that's the other thing I try to tell people is like, once you learn, what you're doing, like I have to go, we're at a lot of sports events and stuff for kids or, both my sons play sports and I time it, you'll learn what you can or can't do. And so if I wake up and I am having I still have pain, you know what I mean? But it's 100% better than it was. But I have arthritis from here to here in my back. And so I have bad days. And maybe if I know I don't have to go anywhere, then I get up and I'll eat a cookie or make some weed tea or something. But if I know I have to go somewhere later, I just time it and I'll know if I do it now, by then it'll be, and I don't see why someone wouldn't use something like that. Or at least, I've told people balance it out with some CBD and then you won't feel real high.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like people don't, I'm so glad we're having this conversation because people think there's only high THC high, like there's so many ways to manipulate it. Like you said, whether or not you have tea, you can adjust it to your mood, your preferences, how you're feeling that day. And I think that's the beauty of it is unlike a pill where it's the same and you just take your one dose, like you have full control over altering anything in your cannabis regimen. And when you're educated and know how to take care of yourself, it's such a good feeling.
Yeah. And I love going, like, I'm figuring out like, oh, this kind is going to do this and this kind, if I mix the two, I like that. But I like to play with it. I'm getting a little more into it now.
It's exciting. It's really fun. Now, can we talk a little bit about your medical card experience for anybody listening who is like, oh, maybe I would try it if I had a card. How was it? Was it easy to get? Was it comfortable?
Very. It was very comfortable. I went to a sports and spine institute for mine, just because I have neck and back issues. But I've also taken friends I took one friend to another one and referred several to them. There's so many doctors now. If you just Google it, you're going to find one local, and there's so many conditions that it treats that I'm convinced pretty much everybody has one of them. I mean, like, how do you not have one of those conditions? Anxiety and I didn't even realize I had anxiety. I don't think and I do. And I think I realized it more after I started using it. Sometimes it made it worse if I, use the wrong stuff or in the wrong situation, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've gotten kind of past that. And now I think that it's more helpful than anything for it. And it's better than alcohol in so many ways for, like I said, we talked about the hangover, but also just in general, the way I feel.
Yeah.
And, hopefully it becomes legal in Ohio. It's it should be up in November. There's a real good chance.
Oh my gosh. Yay.
That we will go. They're going to go. If there's an initiative, I think they have until May. If they don't approve the initiative, then it's going to go on the ballot. So we'll get to vote on it. So I'm hoping.
People want it. I don't know what the politicians want, but the people want it.
This will be the first time that it's on our ballot with this wording. And it's going to allow, I think, 2.5 ounces per adult and 6 plants. So
Nice.
Yeah.
That would be
12, I think 12 plants per
great.
house. I didn't read all of it, but that's
Can
the
you grow with
basics.
your medical card right now?
Mm, nope.
Oh,
Actually, you're not, yeah. And you're not allowed to smoke, technically.
technically, that's how New York did theirs for
Is
a
it?
while as well. And
Oh,
they would sell the flower ground and expect you to use a vaporizer, which I actually
right.
prefer a vaporizer now anyway. But like when people bring it home, like you can't control what they're going to do with it. Like just let
Right.
people do their own thing, leave them
And
alone.
I think they knew that, I'm
Yes, it's
sure,
just the
but
wording and I was talking to someone yesterday in another state, and I believe it maybe was West Virginia, and she was like, we're not allowed to have edibles. Like just so many
what?
weird state to state differences. That's why I love to
How?
ask people, because
Yeah,
none of them really make a lot of sense. They're just
right.
random in state by state. So I will cross my fingers for you, because that would
Yes,
be,
I'm hopeful.
and if
I
you're
think that it
into
will.
like herbalism and all of that, like growing a cannabis plant is really magical and fun to watch. I have a feeling you would really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm excited that we might be able to do that. And boy, it would save money.
Oh man, it's the ultimate money saver. And I feel
Yeah.
like it's very, I don't know, very spiritual almost in a way, getting to grow the plant, harvest the plant, reap the benefits of all that
And we
time
do
you spent with the
garden, we
plant.
grow and can,
See, then yes, it will
so
fit perfectly in with that lifestyle. We do the same, and that's how we taught our children about it. Is it's growing, it's right next to the tomato plants, it's just a plant. And so it's really just kind of, it fits in perfectly with that lifestyle.
um I didn't want to forget the speaking of the kids.
That's yes, where I was going
Yeah.
next. I am very interested. How
Well,
old are they and how did that go?
they are 15 and 17 boys.
Old. So
And
okay, old enough to totally know
oh
what
yeah,
cannabis
but
is.
I just
Okay.
like, oh yeah. Um I but I didn't feel like I
Of
thought, well, if they ever
course.
ask me, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But I also wasn't
That
just
they
gonna be like,
never
hey, I'm
asked.
smoking weed.
Right.
And they never said anything. And I had girlfriends that were like, they totally know. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, they don't. I was, you know, I had like I would make cookies. I would leave, like go to my aunt's down the street to make
Oh my
cookies or
gosh,
anything I wanted to
really?
make. Yeah,
That
I
is
bought like a magical butter
dedication.
machine and kept it
Oh
there.
my gosh.
And then I would bring the stuff home and I had it like in I'm a vegetarian, so I had like vegetarian patty bags and stuff. Well, when they were empty, I would fill them with my cookies and I would reseal them.
I love your
Yeah,
level of dedication to this.
I
That's so cute.
tried. I had
Yeah.
stuff in the vegetable drawer for a long time and they didn't look in there because I knew they weren't going to like get their own
It's such
vegetables
a
when they were
great
younger.
suggestion though for anybody with parents of kids.
Yeah,
Put
well,
it
it didn't work
somewhere.
though.
They yeah.
I mean, it did probably for a while, but when I forget how it came. When they finally said, "Yeah, we know," and I'm like,
What?
"Oh," and I was like, "How long have you known?" They're like, "We've known for a long time." I was like, "Why didn't you say anything?"
Oh.
And my older son, Brayden, he's like, "Nobody cares."
Oh,
That
it's
was like
so
literally, he was just
sweet.
like, "Why is nobody cares, Mom?" I was
Oh,
like,
that's like the
"Oh,
best answer though. Like,
yeah."
so sweet.
Well, and so it made me feel a
Way
lot
better.
more comfortable,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're very mature kids. They're, um, I knew that they weren't going to be upset. It
And
wasn't
I'm
at
sure
all that I thought
if
that they
they
would.
see
We're
their
real
mom
open about things normally.
and if they
So
see their mom feeling better,
that's literally, they've
that's all
said
they
that.
care about, you know? I mean, that's even for them to notice that is amazing.
Right. No, they've actually said, they could see a big difference after I started. And
Oh,
probably because, when you sleep well and you're not in pain, and also we just makes you have more fun.
happy.
You know what I
Yes,
mean? I'm sure
absolutely.
they noticed a difference, um, just in the overall attitude and, feel
Yeah.
in the house, I'm sure. So
I mean, hearing that out of the mouths of your children has to be like the best feeling, because I know as a mom, we all feel super guilty when we start.
mhm.
Am I making the right choice? Am I doing the right
Yeah.
thing? Am I being a good mom? Am I being a bad mom? Like, where does the line draw? But to
Mhm.
have your mature older kids say, I'm happy for you, feel better, like that has to feel so
Right.
good. And now you don't have to hide, and they have a happy, present mom. And for a lot of moms, cannabis can really improve the motherhood experience. And
Oh, mhm.
it's hard. And if there's something that can make it like a little bit more enjoyable and make your
For
time with
sure.
your kids more
Right.
special, like why wouldn't you want that, you know? So I'm so glad
Yep.
you shared that with us. I hope any mom listening can be like, what if I could show up as a better parent for my kids? That's all we could ask for. That's
Right.
amazing.
Well, and back to the pain meds. I know when I took those, I was irritated. I was
Yeah.
irritable anytime, that was just a side effect, I guess, of the
Yep.
pain meds. I just felt irritable all the time and
Mm.
I would freak out over nothing, which I'm not saying I never do that still. I mean, I
Oh
do
yeah,
sometimes,
totally. Yeah.
but, but I did it more,
Yes.
and over really dumb stuff, because I think that also something else marijuana has done for me is, it makes me a lot more compassionate.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm
Have you found
so glad
that?
you said yes. And compassionate, empathetic, and
Hmm.
more able to like have gratitude for what I do have too. I'm so glad you said it. And it's such a humanizing thing. It's so important for people to be compassionate. And if we could have
Right.
something like help us with that, like that's for the greater good of mankind.
Yeah, I thought that was a side of, or something that I get from that I was surprised about. I think it just makes you stop and think, like, we're all the same.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
everybody has a story or a problem, and, you don't know. And I try to say that to the kids all the time, like, don't be, you don't
You
know what
never
those kids are
know.
going through at home.
It's
and
so
and they get
true.
it, and, they understand that. But that's just something, another side effect, I guess, that I've
It's so good
noticed.
to share that though, because anyone listening, say they've never used cannabis, are under that assumption that it makes you apathetic or that you just don't care about anything.
Right.
And it's
Total
so good
opposite
to
for
show,
me.
yes, that it is absolutely
Oh,
enriching. Like there's just no way, I don't know. I don't even know where that stereotype came from, I guess, because I don't think you're
well,
alone in feeling that.
right. And like this, the music, how you're saying, it just makes everything more, um like, we listen to music a lot. I always have loud music on. And but it makes it so much better, and I know that
Yes,
sounds like a hippie
absolutely.
thing,
It does. It's
but like,
so
why not?
true.
um there's just a
It
lot of different things that it does.
Absolutely. Little thing. Someone was talking about yesterday how they just like to go to the beach and enjoy like the sound of the waves. Like you said, like there's something, it
Right.
just enhances the already enjoyable things in
Right.
life
Yeah, that's a great way. That's exactly what it does.
without the side effects, without a hangover, without,
Right.
and if we can just get rid of the guilt, then we're good to go. Like everything's great now.
Well, and how about, like, the without the hangover you're talking about too? We have know a lot of people that work for companies that test. So since they can't do anything, they drink all weekend, like 3 days, and then Monday they're a wreck, And I'm like, but if they would just let them smoke
Do
weed,
their own thing.
they'd have
Yes.
a relaxed, rested employee on Monday, not a hungover one that can't keep their eyes open.
And hopefully any, business owners or legislators listening to these wise words, like it makes no sense that we treat alcohol and that we consider adults responsible enough to handle alcohol, but not responsible enough to handle cannabis. And yet here we are where are we going with alcohol? Truly. I mean, it's a
I
problem
mean,
for
it's a
so many
poison.
people. It's a
So
poison. And
why are
I'm
they
not saying
allowed?
I don't enjoy a cocktail here and there.
Right.
I'm
I do.
really
I
glad
drink.
that I don't have, an issue with alcohol at all, but probably because I have cannabis. Who knows if I drink more alcohol if I didn't have cannabis? Because for me, cannabis is a social thing too. I enjoy it,
Right.
when we go out. I don't drink. I'm more than happy to have no drinks if the kids are around, and I don't mind because I have cannabis and I'm good to go.
Right.
And I can still get up at 6 a.m. with the baby the next day and not feel bad about it. Like, that's been a great social piece for me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think I hope that once they come up with better testing, because I think that if they could test and say, okay, you're not high right now while you're running this machine at work.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? The problem now, I think, is they don't know if you did it yesterday or you did it today.
Which is totally fair. If you're a surgeon or operating machinery, I would like to know that you are in the right space to do that. And
Right.
sometimes I'm like, how can we send people to the moon, but we can't figure this out yet? But
I find it very hard to believe that they don't have a test that's
Can't.
instant or that can detect levels. But
exactly, especially with science the way it is today. Like,
hopefully it's
someone's gotta
coming.
know. We'll cross our fingers, hopefully, and
Yeah.
hopefully, new legislation's coming for Ohio, and hopefully we'll get federal legalization, and we can just kiss all this nonsense goodbye. But
Right.
I'm a wishful
So,
thinker. We'll see how that goes.
I'm wishing with you.
Thank you.
So,
Well, I want to be respectful of your time. This has been a great conversation. I always ask my guests the same 4 questions. Are you ready for them?
I think
All right. The first one up is, what are you most proud of to date in your life?
it'd have to be my kids,
Of course.
and not, they're good students, they're good athletes, but just their character. They're good people.
That's so sweet. Well,
And that's all you can ask for, right? I mean,
oh my gosh,
that's
yeah.
I know whatever they decide to do, if they go to college or if they don't go, I know that they'll, be successful one way or another, just because they're good kids.
That's got to be such a good
So,
feeling. My kids are younger. I have an 8 and a 1-year-old, but I would like to see myself in a couple of years feeling like you, where it's like, doesn't matter because I know they're good. That's so
right.
sweet.
And they'll do what they want. I mean, I want them to just do what makes them happy,
They have a good mom. Oh, well, moving on to number 2, what would you say your life would look like today if you didn't have cannabis?
Well, it wouldn't be as fun at all. More pain, I would be more irritable and have more anxiety. I mean, so, I just enjoy things more. Like we were just talking about, I just enjoy everything more.
It's like just that quality of life aspect. It just takes it to a next level.
Well, and I find like when someone's asking me, well, don't you just want to lay around if you're hot? And I was like, I get so much more done because I'm not in
Yes.
pain. And I don't care if you're a little high and you got to pull weeds out in the yard. Like,
So
I
much
guess that's what I'm
better.
doing.
Cleaning the
Like, all right, I'll pull
kitchen.
weeds. Right.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, I'll do
That is-
dishes.
And that's a great thing for any women mothers listening to know. It is a unspoken side effect of cannabis that cleaning
Sure.
and everyday mundane chores are just better. They just
Put
are.
on some loud music and clean, and you'll have
get
a blast.
it done. Yes, I'm so glad you said that, because it's so true.
Yeah, my
Next-
family thinks I'm a little crazy. I always hope no neighbors come to the door when I'm dancing around and.
But how much
hip-hop
better
music
is
or something.
that than feeling like you're so mad and angry because you're the one cleaning, no one else is cleaning.
Right.
I remember I used to be so resentful, and I'm like, whatever, I'll do it. I don't care. And so that's just better for your whole family, you and everybody.
Usually they get home from school, I've got loud music on and I'm dancing around doing something. And,
It's great.
they laugh, whatever, but I'm sure they'd prefer that than me.
I mean, they have memories of a
crabby and-
happy mom dancing when they get home from school. Like,
Yeah.
what kid wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
So sweet.
So,
So,
that's, I feel like I'm just more productive, I'm happier, everything all
Yeah.
around.
It's beautiful. I mean, I feel the same way with cannabis. So hopefully anyone listening and they're like, oh, wow, look at all these secret benefits. I hope that they are pulling them from this conversation, because there's just so many besides just the ones we talk about every day.
Right.
There's these little hidden gems that make it
Yeah.
just enjoyable.
Things I never knew or would have believed even.
Yes.
Because they're like, okay, you must be high. If someone was telling me like all these, I'm like, okay,
Sure.
sure,
And
it's
now you're
not
like,
great.
okay, yay, perfect. Like, oh,
Right.
I'm so excited that you found cannabis. And that brings us to our next question. If you could sit down with yourself 10, 20, or even 30 years ago and give yourself a little piece of cannabis advice, what would it be?
I'd say stop being so judgy and be nice to those people. And not that I was ever
Yes.
mean to anyone, but
Right.
I
But
just
yeah.
remember thinking like, well, I won't ever do that. And I'm like, well, that was mean. But and here I am. I do it more than they are now. But get educated, because that was what did it for me. I have to know. I want to know how things work. I want to know where it came from. I got to know it all before I do something. And I would tell myself to get educated and then form my opinion based on facts, not the drug on or war on drugs.
Yeah.
That, I just, I don't think I had the facts. And I wish I had looked into it sooner, honestly, just because I would have had even more fun.
Right. But that's
I would have
great.
had less years of pain.
Yes. But I mean, for anyone who's listening, it's never too late. Like, just jump down that rabbit hole, like go and enjoy it. And there's a lot of information out there, not as much as we'd like, but there's enough information to make you realize like, wow, this is a real thing. It really works with our bodies. There's a lot of science to back it up. Like, there is research out there. So jump down that rabbit hole, everybody, because you never know.
And I think
where
people
you'll
are coming around. I feel like I feel like all the time I'm hearing more people, getting on board at least not looking at it the same as they used to.
It takes conversations like this. There are people who are going to listen to this and say, I listened to Christine and she felt this way and now she feels this way, but now she lives this life that is fun, happy, and great. Like, what if I could be Christine? And
I still have my moments. Don't get me wrong.
We all do. Absolutely. But if it helps, I mean, life is hard.
Right.
Being a human is hard. If there's something that can bring on some joy and relief as you go along, like, everybody deserves that. And I hope that people can listen to your story and say, if Christine can do it, I can do it too, because everyone deserves to be happy like you are today.
It's funny is Joe Rogan's podcast. I don't know. Do you listen to him ever?
I've never listened to it, but it was funny. I said to my husband, if Joe Rogan can have a podcast, I could have a podcast, because I got kicked off of Instagram. So I was like, maybe I'll go for podcasting because I'll be less likely to get canceled.
Yeah. He is very pro weed, and he smokes it on he smokes it on the show all the time.
Still, to me, that seems naughty. Like, I don't know why.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, he's always smoking it on there.
Yeah.
And I watch a lot of his podcasts because he's got a lot of scientists and doctors on there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the same way. Like he goes down a rabbit hole. He wants to know exactly everything and why and the facts, And so I heard multiple doctors as well as him talking about the benefits of marijuana and how it wasn't like the doctors that were on there, would say, no, it's not harmful. Like that's where I got a lot of my education. So it was on a podcast. And,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's that conversation. Think about how many millions of people listen to that podcast and just had that seed planted. And so that's why I'm so glad you're here and we're doing this today, because hopefully someone on the other end is going to be like, oh, maybe I should look into this.
Right. I hope so, because and hopefully it's, like I said, it's legal soon, I hope. And I think that'll help a lot of people that are on the fence, maybe.
Of course, because none of us want to be doing something. We don't want to feel bad for doing something. Nobody wants to feel like they're breaking the law. Nobody wants to feel bad, especially feeling bad for wanting to feel better. I feel like, well,
and I think especially parents.
Oh my God.
It's harder because you're trying to be a role model.
Absolutely. And if there's something that makes you feel better and be a better parent, but if society found out you'd be a bad parent, how do you, juggle the two? And that's what I hope this show will help people learn, is you can be a great mom dancing home in your kitchen when your kids get home from school and be present and happy. And your kids at the end of the day might say like, wow, Mom, I'm so glad you feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing else better.
I think they probably will.
I mean, that's great. I mean, it's better for you. It's better for your kids. It's better for your husband. I'm sure. It's just,
for sure.
as
I'm not
women, when
harping
we,
on hit. Well, he doesn't have to hide. I mean,
right, yes, he probably is
now
like,
we do it
yay.
together, and like it's a bonding thing. It's not like we don't sit in the house and
Right.
do it because of the kids, but we'll go outside and
It's something you can do together. And I don't know if you notice this, but like as a wife, I'm much less naggy or snippy, or I just can let stuff go a lot. And I do feel like it is an enhancement to my relationship, because marriage is hard, but like if it could just
you do let a
take
lot
the
more
edge
go, I
off.
think.
Yeah, like I am just
There's
like,
a lot of times I
okay.
think, do I want to? Nah, that's not worth it. You know what I mean? I'll just keep my mouth shut.
That does
Which is
come
hard
with
for me sometimes.
wisdom and age, but I feel like the cannabis helps a lot.
Yeah,
A lot.
absolutely.
All right. Our very last question. If you could be remembered in the cannabis space for just one single thing, what would it be?
I guess just helping, people, and especially, like I said, moms or, anybody really, just realize the benefits that it could, have in their life. Because I think if you could just get someone to try it for one reason, they'll end up enjoying all the other things it does too. You know what I mean? But if the only reason they try it is for pain, great, it'll work. I'm actually having surgery, I hope pretty soon, on my foot, and I'm determined I am not going to take any pain meds. I'm going to try RSO. And I said, look, I might be high for a week, but
you're not going to come out feeling side effects from other medications. Like you probably feel so much better in the end.
We'll wait and see. But that's my plan.
That's so brave of you too, to
I
say,
had 2 kids with no pain meds. I think I can do it.
You're superwoman. Yeah, superwoman status right
well,
there.
I didn't plan that. It just happened that way. But
you survived it.
Yep, I made it. I'm fine.
Oh my gosh, I wish you the best of luck with surgery coming up.
Oh, thanks. It's not a major one.
Oh, but still, I mean, anything is, but I'm really proud of you that you feel like confident that you're like, I'm going to use cannabis instead. And I know that probably I'll feel better at the end of, your recovery. So I'm super proud of you for that.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
cross my fingers.
I'm going to give it a shot. So
good for you. I mean, if you need something else, you need something else. I always want to tell people, like, I'm certainly not against anything that makes you feel better. I'm always for like you do you. I hope you feel great no matter what you do type thing.
Right.
So I think that's a perfect place to end this. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for having
me. Story and your journey. I think this is such a great interview. I feel like someone on the other end is going to be listening to this, whether she's a mom or just a wife or a woman, and maybe she'd be like, I can just try it like Christine and maybe we'll see what happens. So thank you for showing us that.
Just try it.
Yes. I mean, and then you could find like the rainbow at the end, you're there, you're vibrant, you're happy. I'm so happy for you that you found cannabis, and thank you for sharing that with us.
All right. Well, thank you.
Congratulations. You've finished another episode of the Well with Cannabis podcast and are one step closer to discovering how you too can live well with cannabis. Thank you for listening in today. We hope this episode has been a helpful and informative one. Please visit emilykylenutrition.com for more information on today's show notes, guest information, recipes, and other resources. If you want more support and encouragement on your cannabis journey, please consider joining the private Well with Cannabis community. In this group, you can connect with like-minded individuals focused on improving their health and wellness through cannabis. Join the group today to continue your journey of wellness together at emilykylenutrition.com.